Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farhan Bitafi. Once again, we are going to talk about politics of Pakistan. Of course, the new government is taking charge of circumstances. We know today that the President of Pakistan inaugurated the new session, the annual session of the Parliament, and there he spoke as well. Yesterday, Prime Minister of Pakistan visited Karachi, where he met not only media persons, he met umpteen other, important individuals. Apart from that, he also chaired, a very important meeting on security situation of Karachi. Today, we are going to first talk about his visit, and then, of course, we are going to talk about the overall agenda of the government as well. As you know, the Economic Council, ECC, actually met today as well, and there were certain decisions that were made. We are going to talk about all these matters and more, especially the future of democracy, the growth of democracy in the country, and how governance can be improved. We know that the present government has talked about reforming the bureaucracy. We also know that there is an economic situation that the country is trying to handle. And then we also know that the present government is trying to cut down on wasteful expenditure, especially it started with selling the vehicles that were in the Prime Minister's office. And the Prime Minister, by the way, if you have forgotten, is not using his allocated residence, which is called the PM House. We are going to talk about all these matters and more. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined by Shaukat, a senior journalist / anchor. And I'm going to pronounce it the way it was written. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Dr. Niaz, a political analyst, a political economist, one of my favorite columnists. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program as well. We are waiting for a third guest. The moment they arrive, I'm going to introduce them. Shaukat Piracha, sir, let me start with you. What was your assessment of Prime Minister's visit to Karachi?
Thank you very much. On the face of it, it was very good to see our Prime Minister visiting Karachi, and if he
his own constituency as well.
If he visits Quetta, or he visits Faisalabad, or he visits Multan or Vehadi, or if he visits Peshawar, will be very good, because he is the chief executive of the whole country.
Right.
He is not chief executive of Lahore or Peshawar only,
or Islamabad, for that matter.
So to begin with, it is very good to see our high-ups visiting different areas, and you very rightly pointed out that Karachi has been one of his constituencies.
Yeah.
But the announcements made over there, they also sparked some concern from the provincial government.
Okay.
And one of the key ministers of the provincial government, Said Ghani, he has been a senator, so he knows federation, he knows province, he talked about something that certain pronouncements of the Prime Minister.
Are you talking about the refugees? The way actually the Prime Minister addressed the issue of Afghans and Bengalis.
First I am coming to interprovincial issue, then I'll come to the refugee, because refugee is not a only provincial subject, although province is concerned about the population.
Okay.
Said Ghani was talking of the what he said is going to violate the spirit of the 18th Amendment. That why Prime Minister was talking of a master plan. And if I correctly remember, I also very keenly listened to the Prime Minister's speech. He said, we give 2 months to the provincial government. If they cannot improve, then we will introduce a plan in consultation of the provincial government.
Right. So how is it wrong? People of Karachi have been suffering for 5 years. They have been complaining about kachara. They have been talking about waste management, mass transit movement projects. They haven't seen any. If the provincial government is failing to help out, why not the center step in and help them?
On the face of it, this is very good ideal.
Okay.
That if some government cannot work out, the other government can work out,
Right.
Tomorrow, if if APK provincial government says we will remove kachra from Karachi, should it be okay because it's going to help?
No, they are federating units with due
They
respect.
are federating units, but
hang on.
This has been a problem in this country. I remember when 18th Amendment devolved some aspects, the people sitting in Islamabad, they were furious that why provinces are being handed over because there is no capacity of the provinces.
Piracha Sahab, if you allow me, let me bring in Dr. Niaz Murtaza. No, Dr. Niaz Murtaza, I understand one has to have a position on any government, right? Whether you are supporting or whether you are critic, and you can do both simultaneously as well. But the problem right now is that it seems that we want to have it both ways. When the governments don't do anything in Karachi, we keep on complaining that the governments are not doing anything. When one government actually tries to jolt the other one, the federal is trying to wake the provincial one up, then we have this issue that somehow 18th Amendment is being undermined.
Well, I mean, I fully agree with, the objectives, the goals, the outcomes that he's talking about. Obviously, everybody wants a cleaner Karachi, everybody wants a safer Karachi, a more economically vibrant Karachi.
Right.
Everybody has, a lot of sympathy for these refugees who've been living for generations in Pakistan, and I would fully support a move that gives them a citizenship. But then, outcomes come through certain processes, and then, achieving objectives, we must not, sacrifice the sanctity of the processes as well.
Okay.
And the process is that, as Mr. Piracha was saying, Karachi does come under the Sindh government.
Okay.
And I fully agree. I have done a report on the local governance system in Sindh, including Karachi. And I think the Karachi local government system is the biggest body in Pakistan and probably the weakest as well as in Pakistan.
Weakest now, since during the past 5 or 10 years.
Well,
Before
after
that,
the last one,
during Pervez Musharraf's time, it was
no,
one of
I'm not
the
talking
strongest.
about. I'm talking about the current
democratic.
one, the one that the PPP government developed. But still, I mean, one wrong doesn't mean that it justifies another wrong.
No, but is it not true that while we are talking about due process and we are talking about a sanctity of 18th Amendment,
Yeah.
the outcome actually goes to undermine the spirit of 18th Amendment as well, which was improvement in governance.
Exactly. So then, there's a process to it. Sit down with the Sindh government, convince them, apply political pressure, but don't take administrative actions which are in violation of the constitution.
Technically, they haven't taken any action right now.
They're talking about it.
They're merely telling the other party that if you don't serve people of Karachi, we are going to step in.
I don't think that's the right way. Those kind of threats and all, and these kind of deadlines. He had a meeting with the Sindh chief minister. He should have discussed it with him, and then invited him to come to Islamabad. Have a series of meetings, and if after 1 or 2 months you find that you're not making any headway, then you start thinking of mobilizing your cadres in Karachi. But these kind of administrative measures, they're just going to weaken the federation.
Shaukat Piracha sahab, help me understand this situation where on one side we remember that MQM used to be very powerful in Karachi, and they were also at that time ally of the provincial government, and they used to control Karachi and they used to help do whatever was needed as well. They got weakened. Now they don't have representation in the provincial government. At this moment, the people of Karachi don't elect People's Party. They go for any other option. For example, this time they went for PTI and MKM combo. Now, if People's Party doesn't deliver in Karachi, should we wait for another 5 years and let the people suffer? At this moment, I'm talking and debating everything. I know you're going to invoke democracy. I know that you're going to talk about provincial autonomy as well. But all things included, is it not the ultimate target or goal of democracy to serve the people?
I don't know why people in Islamabad, they are so allergic of invoking democracy or invoking 18th Amendment or sanctity of the Constitution.
Hang on. I'm not one of those people, you know it. I'm a believer in democracy.
You alone, because
but you're talking about me as well.
This debate is there in Pakistan for the last 10 years or 8 years when the 18th Amendment was passed by the Parliament, were the Parliament, and then certain powers were devolved to the provinces.
Okay.
I cannot dispute a very good ideal that the people living in Karachi or Sakkar or Hyderabad or Multan or Peshawar or Quetta should be given power, should be given due, or rights or whatever, There is no dispute.
Do you see that happening?
You talked about MKM.
I'm talking about people of Karachi.
You talked about MKM that they are, if they are not ally of the provincial government, they are ally of the federal government.
Okay.
But one of the ministers in the cabinet, federal cabinet, who are allies of the
Federal government.
federal government,
Okay.
just last week he said the election was stolen in Karachi.
Okay.
A sitting minister is talking something which the opposition is talking, So whether people of Karachi voted for PTI and MKM, and you said other than the People's Party. If people of Karachi are not voting for the People's Party, it should never mean that People's Party should ignore them.
Okay.
There is no dispute on this principle, but
how do you explain the past 5 years?
But if province,
Half of Karachi becoming Kachara Kundi.
if provincial chief executive says that we were promised by the center for 5% recount of the census, we are not given. If the provincial chief minister...
I understand all these issues are important.
Listen.
But service delivery is also important.
Very
is it not?
important, very important.
So how do you ensure
is resource of
There
the
is a provincial government, sir,
is
that
resource,
doesn't do it.
Whether the resource of the provincial government, as is permissible by the constitution and which is due share of the provincial government, if the federal government is not giving them their due share, should we say that the provincial government is failing them?
Allow me to make my case. You confused me with the people who keep on challenging democracy. So let me explain what is happening. For 10 years, past 10 years, you and I and him, we have all been trying to actually defend democracy and tell people that it is the greatest ideal. And then every political party has its own agenda, its own way of ruling. And in Karachi, it doesn't show. What should I tell those people? They actually then make the case that democracy is flawed, that 18th Amendment doesn't work, that it was a bad idea. What should I tell them?
My hands up. If I believe that democracy is very functional, very absolute, very proper here in Pakistan, then my hands are up,
Okay.
I'm already sharing your concern that the people of Karachi or Lahore or Peshawar
Can
or
you
Quetta,
recommend a way out as well?
Dr. Saab has already recommended that instead of issuing threats and deadlines,
Okay.
there is a mechanism. What is the mechanism? Council of Common Interests is
That
the
mechanism was there during past 5 years?
And
Was it not?
we criticized when the previous government did not,
no, the previous government, the previous Prime Minister goes to Karachi and he is not being criticized by anybody. The moment he announces that there will be a mass transit project in Karachi, immediately Asif Ali Zardari Saab starts, criticizing him. That means the old, principle, feudal principle that do whatever you want to any development in your area, not in my area. That becomes a problem.
I don't know why we feel that the people of rural areas, they are against development.
I'm not talking about people. Hang on. How come it is about the rural area?
What are you talking?
I'm talking about Karachi mass transit
you
project.
just said that the feudal mentality is against development. Who is saying so?
I'm talking about Asif Ali Zardari's approach. Somehow it was interpreted that way.
Last 10 years and 5 years, I've been traveling to Ladkana when the People's Party government was there. Believe me, I see lot of connectivity. There remains high ideals. There is no issue at all. But the same provincial government had a sitting with the previous government. How this Karachi operation was launched with the help of the provincial government.
We keep on relitigating anything that might have delivered some results, but we don't see where we are lacking, and our narrative or democracy keeps on lagging, sir. What should be done? If water is not coming, what should I tell my own brother sitting in Karachi? If there is problem of law and order situation, what should I tell them? Wait for another 5 years, die in the meantime? If there is waste disposal issue, should I tell them that, okay, go hang because you have chosen People's Party? If you haven't chosen People's Party, somebody numerically higher in number has chosen them, and now you're stuck with them for 5 years.
I think we need to take a broader look at the situation there. It's not that the People's Party is just neglecting Karachi, it's neglecting the whole of Sindh practically.
Okay.
In fact, if you go to the rural areas, obviously the situation in terms of water, health facilities, education facilities, everything is much poorer than Karachi. So now the issue is that, when Mr. Imran Khan goes to Karachi, should he go there as the Prime Minister of Pakistan or should he go there as the head of PTI? There is, of course, the issue that Karachi has voted for him and the interior or rural Sindh has not voted for him. So should he just be concerned about Karachi as the head of PTI or should he be concerned about the whole of Sindh as the Prime Minister of Pakistan?
But if
so I think the issue is broader
hang
than
on,
that.
sir. If you're a father
Yeah.
and you have 5 children, let's say, and one of them is weaker, will you not pay that child attention?
Yeah, the whole of Sindh is weak, I'm saying,
no,
in terms
but
of...
he doesn't agree. He says that in rural areas there's a lot of connectivity, perhaps development also. But in Karachi, you have seen a pattern develop.
But what I'm saying is, let, the provincial assembly, there are certain mechanisms available within the provincial assembly. There is the combined strength of, PTI, MQM, GDA, one or two other parties as well. So, let them, take up these issues first in the provincial assembly. Then the second thing is that, the federal government has a lot of aces in its pocket, of course. There are so many things that only the federal government can provide to the provincial government.
Okay.
So make it as a bargaining chip, the PTI people raising it in the provincial assembly, then, the federal government providing inducements to the Sindh government, having negotiations with them. And then, maybe in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, you might see some changes out there. Now, let's also remember that, that one of the criticisms of MQM against the Sindh government has been that, it's implementing projects in Karachi, which it should not.
Okay.
But then it's doing some work, right?
Okay.
So it's not that, nothing is being done. So what I would recommend is, a broader picture, let, the provincial assembly do its job, let the Karachi chapter of PTI work, and Imran Khan Saab should, think as the Prime Minister of Pakistan and not as the head of PTI when it comes to Sindh and Karachi.
And if, for example, nothing happens in Karachi still, especially we are talking about a government, especially you have talked about, and we have talked about a father who might be worried about a child that is being ignored. What about the mother who might be ignoring that child? And that's why the father has to say, now I take the business in my own hand and I have to actually take.
Well, I mean,
do you have any timeline in mind?
The relationship between, federal government and provinces is not the same as a family. The federal government is not the father or the mother of the provincial government.
Yeah, but mother,
it doesn't have any.
I mean, don't confuse
authority.
my symbols with physical realities of
the
life.
Provincial government.
Yeah, but do you have any timeline in mind?
Well, try it for 6 months, once a year. And I don't think, the PPP is completely, irrational. I think if you talk to them, give them certain inducements, I think they'll see the light of the day. So let's try it. Let's try it.
Let me bring in the third guest who has just arrived, perhaps from a gym, wearing extreme casual. Barrister Masroor Shah Sahab, senior analyst, also spokesman of his party, but at this moment, here as an expert. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Sir, we are talking about Prime Minister's visit to Karachi. And somewhere, somebody, one of our panelists actually invoked democracy and especially provincial autonomy. And they had objection with the Prime Minister's pronouncement that the provincial government can take care of Karachi in 2 months. If it doesn't start doing anything, we are going to consult. We are going to come in consultation with the provincial government and start delivering here. Do you think that there is some problem with this statement? Because I don't see it. For 5 years, we have endured what was happening in Karachi, of course.
Certainly. The Constitution provides for a mechanism where if the federal government deems that the affairs of the provinces are not run in accordance with law, or there's some issue, then the provision of invoking governor's rule is very much there.
Okay.
But for that, I don't think so that PTI has the right numbers to get that process validated from the parliament.
You're talking about the Parliament of Pakistan?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and then that would send a very wrong signal. Whenever governor rule has been imposed by the federal government, we have seen that has never yielded the contemplated results.
Right.
Even if for the sake of argument, I may presume that the intentions were very noble.
Right. But
So-
you straight away went to the nuclear option. That is the nuclear
No,
option.
that is the
governors.
only way. Otherwise, I mean, I have gone through the constitution many times. I do not find any mechanism by way of which federal government can start taking or start meddling into the affairs which squarely fall in the domain of the province, like changing Karachi's master plan. Now, I don't know who are the advisors of the Prime Minister. That is a area, that is a subject that squarely falls in the ambit of the provincial government.
Yeah, but
and
his-
if the provincial government, okay, the next argument would be, oh, People Party is bad, it's not performing, PTI is
No, I'm-
carving out a new Pakistan, but if People Party is...
allow me to make the case.
Yeah.
People's Party is in power in the province for past 10 years. Usually there used to be a power sharing formula between the representatives of Karachi and representatives of rural Sindh. Now what is happening at this moment is that the representatives of the urban Sindh, they don't have any voice in the provincial matters. And because of that, for past 5 years, it seems that Karachi has been neglected. Do we have any silver bullet to fix the situation in Karachi without actually the federal government pushing for it?
To my mind, there is one option, but that option Imran Khan has already ruled out before running for the general election. That is, make Karachi a separate province.
Okay.
I mean, it's such a big metropolitan. If Karachi is a separate province, the people of Karachi would then be fully empowered to govern their own affairs and the rural, because the dynamics and the politics and the political connotation of the rural Sindh are far more different from that of the urban Karachi, urban Sindh.
Yeah,
So,
and I
that
understand.
again, so then, and then again, the thing is that we cannot really say that the entire Karachi population has voted in favor of a particular political party.
It hasn't.
It hasn't.
Right.
And then the thing is that the local government is very much in the hands of the of MQM.
Yeah. But it doesn't have, as per the law, it doesn't have that kind
That
of
is
power.
the problem that is being faced by almost all the local government, whether it is in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the Nazims are protesting. In Punjab also, since they were in line with the ruling party, there was not much of a difference, but in Sindh definitely. So work should be done on these issues rather than straight away saying
Now,
that...
there is another issue regarding the local bodies or local government mechanism as well, framework as well. The federal government, in consultation with the provincial governments, where it has some, power sharing formula, is trying to design a framework that will be implemented. Now, it might be implemented in three provinces, but in the fourth, that is Sindh. Again, is there any assurance that People's Party will listen?
The thing
What
is that
happens
we
to
have
people
to-
of Karachi then, sir?
No, we have to first be very clear in our minds that Pakistan is not a unitary state.
It is not. It
It
is a
is
federal.
a composition of 4 federating units. So, and the local government is again a provincial chapter. So, wasn't it a case last time that when in Punjab we had a different set of type of rules of local government in Punjab, we had a different set of local government system in Sindh and a completely different set of local government system in KPK, which Imran Khan used to trumpet and used to glorify that, look, my system is the best. So it is not in the first time in the history of Pakistan that we'll be having 4 provinces with different sets of local
Yeah,
government system.
I understand that, sir, and I understand that there is provincial autonomy. That is also important. There is 18th Amendment. But look, you have to look at it from the prism of a citizen. If I'm sitting in a province where my community was not represented in the provincial government's formation, and then I feel that for past 5 years, I have not been provided with clean water, with sewerage, with the waste management issues, with law and order, some semblance of peace. what exactly am I going to think? Perhaps I will lose faith in democracy. And remember, that case is still on in this country. There are people who keep on challenging democracy in the drawing rooms.
No, firstly, the thing is that the political party or the people whom you're referring to in urban Karachi, MQM,
Yeah.
they had been in power for the last like 20, 30 years.
I'm
In
talking about
Musharraf's
the
time,
voter. I'm not talking about the government.
the voter, I mean, they vote through their members, through their chosen representatives. So they were in power in General Musharraf's era. They were all in all. I think in the history of Pakistan, the longest serving governor was that of MQM.
Yeah.
Then in People's Party era also we have seen that they were in power, though they used to play hide and seek, but they were very much in power. So it's not a case where it's a community which is being marginalized and they were never reaped the fruits of democracy, so to speak.
Right.
Now also it was a political decision. I mean, they could have sided with People's Party, which was, I mean, everybody knew they will form a provincial government. For some reasons best known to them, they decided to go with PTI. They knew PTI would not be in the provincial government, so they got their stakes in they had the two cakes and they wanted to have the PTI cake, the slice in the PTI cake.
Yeah,
they
but-
got federal
But
ministries.
sort of reminds me of Maulana's fatwa, who was asked if somebody actually holds a gun to your head, a woman's head, and she's asked to agree to a marriage, will that be free will or not?
Definitely not, but
And,
who is
and
holding the gun?
then it was said that, okay, there was a choice. She could die, she didn't. That's why now
No,
she
I
has...
agree. I totally agree with. But who is holding the gun on MKM side?
No, I'm talking about people
We
of...
have seasoned journalists.
people
with
of
you,
Karachi's head.
They can shower some wisdom on this.
Right. So people have to actually, in democracy, people have to live with the choices made perhaps by others for 5 years. Even if that means that no water, no sewerage, no waste collection, no law and order. Is it correct?
Should I assume from your bombardment of questions
Sir,
that the
I'm not bombarding. Come on, I'm requesting.
the people of Pakistan in all other parts of the country, they have clean drinking water, they have education, their law and order is very good, they have roads, communication.
Should
the
I
life
answer
is, No. And
You know,
and-
that
and-
is where you and I come into the picture.
Please,
It is the
please.
media that is framing Karachi's picture all the time.
Please, and
The
you are
situation
saying,
in a
and
rural
you
city is
are,
as bad as Karachi.
and you are portraying that it's only Karachi which is being discriminated by the People's Party.
Okay.
That rest of the people in Pakistan from KP or extra Fatah or Balochistan or Punjab,
Southern Punjab kept on talking about its own neglect. It has been neglected. The federal government keeps, and the provincial government also talks about, making a separate province. It is their promise. At least they are making the province. When you talk about other areas of the country, of course, there might be a lack of development there as well.
might be. Otherwise, you are not sure that
Sir,
they,
it is your responsibility.
No,
Your
no,
channel
no, you are
doesn't
not-
frame that way.
You are not sure that they are backward
Sir,
or they lack the facilities.
what is
Only you assume, and
Hang
you
on.
are sure that Karachi has a problem.
Sir, with due
Only
respect.
Karachi has a problem in this country.
Sir,
Rest of the
can you
areas
tell me-
don't have the
hang on.
problem.
Can you tell me what is the total population of Quetta? And then can you compare it with the total population of Karachi?
So the
20
question
million
is,
people live in Karachi, sir. Can you ignore them?
and we should ignore Quetta because
not
it has
at all.
less population.
Not at all.
We
But
should ignore
there is a
Multan,
government-
it has less government.
there is-
We should ignore Mansehra or Aptabad or Haripur
Sir, come on,
because they
sir.
have
I don't
less
know why
government.
you are taking it that way. I
No,
didn't.
actually,
you,
the
you,
crux.
you don't realize what is happening.
No, the crux is.
You're not even understanding what I'm
the
trying to
crux-
say here.
The crux has been so far for the last 40 minutes that it's only Karachi which has been neglected.
You know why?
And
You know why,
and
sir?
rest of the
Sir,
country
sir,
is,
you know why?
is very prosper.
Hang on, sir. You know why? We discuss all the topics progressively in the programs. And this time, the contingent factor was Prime Minister's visit to Karachi. And it was you, sir, if you remember, that who actually brought up this matter. So I'm just trying to actually ask you to resolve this issue.
Sir, my dear sir, when I brought out this issue, I quoted a minister in the provincial government.
I agree. I
Because,
understand.
because we have to see the two pictures. one picture that's with you, the other picture that's with me as a journalist. That
As a journalist, your screen
and-
shows me
and two
that
of-
there is a pile of waste material in Karachi.
Yes.
And that people are suffering. It is not my frame narrative, sir.
But our frame from private media never says Karachi in isolation. We also talk of other problems
Like
in
what?
other areas,
Like what?
in other parts of the country.
Like what? In today's programs, when you talk about overall coverage, how much time was given to Karachi and how much to Quetta? I mean, come on. Media doesn't cover it that way.
I am pleading that your whole
That it
focus,
should be done.
No, I am pleading that instead of saying that Karachi is the only city which is...
So
which is-
Karachi is not a city. It shouldn't be counted. Let us talk about
it
Quetta.
should come
Let
out.
us move on.
It should come out, but there is a whole country.
Yeah,
elsewhere.
but you're talking about 10% of the country's population, sir. How can
And
we
I
ignore
should
it?
neglect 90% others.
No, I'm not. Am I saying that? We were talking about Karachi, and you had an issue with
Which
the
is, you know,
hang on. The legal instruments, right?
That is
The
there.
judicial
How can I
issues.
ignore?
Yeah,
If a province is saying that
But
federation
if, sir, with due respect, if 18th Amendment doesn't seem to be serving people,
So it should be scrapped.
then people should say that it is imperfect.
But anyway, what are the legal mechanisms available? I mean, maybe you can suggest what should
No,
the PTI do?
I'm
Should
just
it impose
asking that there
governor's
should
rule?
be, if for example,
Right,
I'm living in a home of 10,
Yeah, yeah.
and 9 people or 8 people have made a choice, and that doesn't include me, and that includes ignoring
I
me.
mean, that does have. That
Should
does
I-
happen.
should
That
I
does
have a
happen
way
in
to
democracy
actually ask for
to some
relief?
extent? But if PTI is so concerned, then maybe instead of doing fundraisers for impossible projects like dams, they could have done a fundraiser for Karachi.
Where
in Karachi.
you could be tried for Article 6.
Okay,
Treason
okay,
and
then
you
don't
get
go
for-
there, sir, with due respect, because we
Well,
know the
warning,
limits.
before warning.
Again,
the
coming to the
question-
same issue, I mean,
No, I understand, sir. Look,
Then
what is
the
happening
easy
here?
solution is make it, because you see throughout the world wherever we see
Make a province of
large conglomeration of various people, different communities, in ideal democracy, then the federating unit should be very small.
Okay.
So why don't they make Karachi a province
but that,
and let cover?
I mean, that's also not in their
That's-
power. They would need, a provincial assembly.
But at
resolution.
least
Yeah,
no, but
that's not
two-third,
going to happen.
Two-third, but the thing is-
Not in the
majority
Sindh,
province.
not in the Sindh province. It will be a simple resolution.
Yeah, but
in
with the federal
In the
government.
federal,
Federal
government.
government,
So the thing is,
that's
at least the
impossible.
process, but Imran Khan totally ruled it out before the elections.
Okay.
Because
Can't
this
you
is not an
convince
option.
him? Can't people
I
convince
wish.
him? But that won't happen, right?
Yeah, because you see, then there are interest groups. Like People Party, and I mean, I fail to understand dichotomy in People's Party's argument that they want a province for southern Balochistan, they want a Bhagalpur province, but they don't want Karachi to become a province.
Okay.
It's all politics. I mean, then they would.
Yeah.
lose
And
a
in
lot of revenue.
politics, where does the interest of people
I
lie?
think the first task before Imran Khan is the federal government.
Okay.
There are huge challenges here, and instead of getting immersed in city government, he should focus on his own task. It's almost a month, and we haven't got beyond these fairly simplistic and populist things like fundraising for dams and austerity measures and bringing looted wealth back. When are we going to see actual policies on serious
Like
issues?
like
That's his
what?
main job.
Give me an example.
You know,
what
so
what
many
kind
big
of policy are you
so
waiting
many
for?
big steps have-
Economic issues. When are we going to see some serious economic policies rolled out? It's all about
ECC,
austerity measures. This is all peanuts.
Austerity, while the government talks about austerity, it also talks about reforming the bureaucracy.
Well, we
And
haven't
it
seen
has
any
a task
practical
force
steps.
right
It's
now.
all talk so far.
Yeah, and today ECC met, and it took some very, strong decisions.
Maybe too strong.
Too strong, but maybe they were strong, but still they were decisions.
Then, even
So
there, I
policy
think
is
there
also
are
there.
provincial matters, because gas, I think it has to be approved from the Council of Common Interest. That's the objection that Sindh has raised. So
Right.
again, there are ways of doing it. Maybe they're still inexperienced. They didn't even know that
Yeah,
gas
but
prices. can only-
here's the problem. I understand for past 11 years, you can pick up any work that I've done, and you can see that there's this constant advocacy for democracy, right? But first 5 years, People's Party is ruling the country. PMLN seems to be stopping their way. And they kept on doing it. And eventually, the government didn't deliver that much. Then comes PMLN. Now we are talking about PTI stopping their way. And that keeps on happening for 5 years. Now we have PTI. And PTI also is being stopped. So how do I get relief as a citizen?
The premise of the entire argument is unfortunately not, I would not agree with that.
But it is being litigated in Pakistan.
Did PMLN in the People's Party era ask them, encourage them to go for corruption? Did Imran Khan encourage Nawaz Sharif to go and buy properties in Panama?
I agree with your
And
position.
now is People Party or PMLN encouraging Imran Khan to take some steps which, I mean, it has become a laughing stock in the eyes of the people.
Yeah, but
I am so impressed with their economic austerity drive. I mean, 6 buffaloes have been auctioned.
come on.
Come on, it's such a big step.
They're trying to sell off whatever assets they have.
Politics could be there when you are talking of the past 10 years, but the role of the opposition is to keep checks.
Right.
When PMLN was checking the People's Party government, that was their role. If the opposition,
but
then
you realize that
if you kindly let me complete my argument, because then we'll be dragged away. When PMLN was ruling and other parties was checking, that was their role. And exactly today, when you are talking of Karachi and Prime Minister, in his good spirit, he made certain announcements. We are talking, or the opposition, the minister that I quoted, he was talking. Again, it's his duty to keep a check. The check.
Yeah, I understand that, and I am totally with that
the
spirit.
of democracy,
But
you know.
Consider a salesman who's trying to sell a product, right? There are people, you might be, you and I might be seasoned. We are old. We are not that young. But there might be youth who was somebody who was born in back in 1990s or 2000s. They opened their eyes during Pervez Musharraf's time. They saw relative comfort, things improving and getting better, at least on the grassroots level. Then you saw People's Party's 5 years. I am sitting there and telling them democracy is better. And those people don't want to listen. They say democracy doesn't seem to be working. What do I tell them?
Is job of seasoned person like yourself that in Pervez Musharraf time, when it was little comfort, there was a wagon of dollars coming into Pakistan because we have sold out our foreign policy, you know, because the money was keeping in. The moment
we have bought it back, the foreign policy? We haven't, right? This is the problem. Nothing seems to be changing. We are still stuck 10 years ago.
Are we dancing to the tunes of the foreign powers today in terms of the foreign policy?
Yeah,
no, sir. No, sir. At least, you know, please, we are now saying that
while you were changing, the region was also changing and those powers were also changing. So you cannot merely attribute everything to one political party or the
now
other.
we say it's your turn to do more. In the past, they were.
And there are other regions, simmering issues, political and military issues in the neighborhood, in the Middle East, to which we did not become a party. And if it was in General Pervez Musharraf, a single phone call would have been enough.
Sir, with due respect, I remember Ziaul Haq's time. At that time, there was Iran-Iraq war, and Pakistan, despite being one of the closest allies, never became part of this war between two Muslim countries. So that also is a reality. America is a different quantity.
Fighting in Afghanistan. Come on,
In Kuwait-Iraq conflict, we were siding with Kuwait.
For operation.
I think we are diverging now.
No.
Topic
Hang on.
domestic
No,
politics.
actually,
Let's get back to that.
you have to understand that at this moment, what has taken center stage. At this moment, while we started from Karachi, and obviously everybody thinks that the provincial government should have its space. I'm just trying to highlight that there are more people who don't want to buy that only the right to vote a government is their right.
It's not just, a matter of Sindh government. I even feel sorry for Punjab KP because one single committee has been formed at the top level and it's going to decide for 3 provinces. How about giving some space to the provincial government
in consultation with the provincial
Punjab
governments
and KP to, let them form their own committees, come up with their own ideas, have consultation, and then present it to, the head.
Can we talk about another very important thing, bureaucracy? how to reform bureaucracy? Do you have any ideas?
Well, I mean, it's not going to be through pep talks, encouraging them and giving them moral sermons. I mean, you have to sit down, there are reports after reports, you have to focus on the incentives. Why do bureaucrats behave in a certain manner and not the manner that you want to look at? You need to look at structures, pay scales, lines of authorities, and then come up with, something sensible. Just giving lectures like this is not going to solve our problem.
Given that we have lived with this reality for past 20, 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
can you recommend us a good good body of work that might indicate how to reform bureaucracy?
Well, I mean, even Mr. Ishrat Hussain himself has written reports. There are other people, who've written about bureaucratic reforms. Take them up and come up. Moral sermons are not going to. Whenever you're talking about the PTI,
it was like
whenever you're talking
trying
about
to
the
express
PTI,
support that you will
whenever
not be
you're
victimized.
talking about PTI, you have to invariably use cricket metaphors. And the one that I would like to use is it's like watching an under-19 team, performing. So let's
my problem is not that today we might be seeing an under-19 team. My problem is we have been seeing under-19 team, one team or the other actually taking care of the country for past 72 years.
As long as an under-19 team playing a World Cup, are still not as frightened vis-a-vis a situation where a kabaddi team is playing the World Cup of cricket. But anyway, that was on the lighter side.
Okay.
On promotion issue, I have a very serious comment to make.
Yeah.
I have been dealing with a lot of litigation of civil servants, and I've seen over the last 20 years how the fabric of the civil service being shattered by the political interference in the civil service promotions. I think as a first step, if Imran Khan carves out a promotion policy where a civil servant, even if he is the bottom tier of the hierarchy or at the top, knows that his good relationship or his affinity with the Prime Minister or his relevant concerned minister would not prejudice his chances of being promoted to a higher grade, trust me, 70% of the problems will be solved.
Is it not how the country has been governed for past 72 years? And the question is, now a new government comes and you expect it to start actually dismantling all the support system that it has got. What happens?
You see, if you put in place this system, the good bureaucrats would come on the surface and come on the right positions.
That's an
if those people who have, I mean, I don't blame the politicians as well. I mean, the very people, I mean, you look at the top positions, the same with the people who were the right and left hands of PML and political leaders, whether in Punjab or whether in federal government.
Okay.
And you have been blaming them for the ruined projects of Orange Line and Metro Train. Now you're utilizing the same people, and they would then play and twist the things for you. So why don't you come up with a good promotion policy, cleans the system, and if it is a mechanical exercise, the merit only takes place, and that could only be by way of a good promotion policy. Good people will come, and then they will have at least the guts to say, because no one is perfect in its own right. If a minister is taking a wrong decision, a bureaucrat should have the courage to say, sir, this is wrong. But if he knows that if he says this and it offends the minister, his chances of going to grade 22 or 21 are then bleak, then there is it, he will never object.
While you're talking about promotion policy, there is another problem. Maybe you are not recommending ideas that are that radical at all. For example, Daniel Aziz, who used to actually head NRB once recommended that the 21st grade and 22nd should be abolished. By doing that, you might be able to actually build a provincial bureaucracy rather than top to bottom bureaucracy. Do you agree with that possibility?
The concept has been that there should be talented people who could contribute for the job that they are assigned, different groups,
Sir, but we are so angry, we don't agree on anybody's qualifications. We think that either he is with PMLN, People's Party or PTI.
In fact, they are the same people. You just heard the example that they were with PMLN, and now the government which used to criticize, the party that used to criticize them, they are with it.
Yeah, but how can you change or supplant the entire bureaucracy?
No, I mean, this is not the idea, in fact. Bureaucracy, as they were recruited, if in the CSS cadre, you know, they come through a process, you know.
Okay.
I think Prime Minister did very right thing. Prime Minister Imran Khan did very right thing when he had the bureaucracy in his office, and he asserted that they will go with without any discrimination to anyone. I think
Regardless of their party position or their
because
support to
for
any
the
party.
last 5 years, what PTI leaders, including the Prime Minister himself, you know, what they used to talk about from the container, etc., about the bureaucracy,
And
it was good time to reassure them that everything
that
will be
won't happen.
Exactly.
That they are not going to be victimized.
yes.
Right, sir. On that note, I am told that I have to conclude the program. Shaukat Piracha sahab, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Niaz Murtaza sahab, thank you very much for your time as well. Barrister Masroor Shah sahab, thank you very much, sir. Always great having you on the show. Although you arrived late and supremely casual, but thank you very much. You did arrive. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. This discussion has to continue. But you realize that at this moment in this country, a lot of things are being asked, and there has to be an answer. It will be great if the parties that have invested so much in democratic ideal actually start upholding those ideals as well. And the ultimate idea of democracy is that it starts with demo, with the people. If you are not serving people, please start doing that. If you don't do it, there will be debate whether the country needs democracy or whether it doesn't, or does the provincial autonomy or it doesn't. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.